Precinct 5 is on the scene, and as well as the Houston Police Department that are working this case.
Haven't seen any Texas state troopers yet, but we would imagine they'd be involved in this at some point as this begins to cross jurisdictional boundaries as well. This again beginning with Houston PD on this chase, and it now moving westbound toward the Katy area. And again, we've seen this vehicle clip several other, no major impacts, but clearly caused some property damage to other vehicles as the driver has been running since getting on the freeway. And the fear, obviously, is that eventually this is going to come to a violent end with a crash. Obviously, police doing what they can to try to get ahead of the vehicle, try to work out a way to stop this vehicle if possible, because he's putting so many lives in jeopardy at this point.
And as he continues on the Katy Freeway, Don, you can just see just how fast this guy is going right now. At this point, there have been various speeds throughout the course of this chase, and if you're wondering why he may be running from police, he or she, we have reports that this is a robbery suspect. We're still trying to get word on where this original crime may have taken place. He is still westbound approaching Derry Ashford at this point. Again, this chase on the Katy Freeway, rush hour time right here in West Houston as we're watching this, as the driver appears to be slowing down at this point.
Traffic clearly moving slower there. We can see the bus.
Is he getting into the HOV lane? It appears so. So that would really change things if he continues, he or she, in this lane as we continue to keep an eye on this suspect.
Yeah, well, it will limit the driver's options to get into an HOV lane with a barrier, so it's hard to say if they will choose that. Of course, you never know if the drivers in these situations are thinking clearly about what they're doing or just instinctively running, but we're watching as they approach.
Appears to be slowing down.
Yeah, definitely in the HOV lane now.
And as we just saw this car, wow, and he's going around another car right now, this driver, it makes you so nervous for the people who are on the road who may not understand what's going on behind them, and they're probably hearing the sirens, maybe not realizing that there is a pursuit at this rate of speed going on, which is dangerous for everyone.
Yeah, he's going to get out of there now.
Choosing to get out of the HOV lane because, as you mentioned, the opposite viewer at that point. He continues on, again, this is in West Houston on the Katy Freeway. This suspect going westbound, this robbery suspect, this chase has been going on since 4:25 this afternoon.
Yeah, for anyone driving home from work right now, of course, it's right in the middle of the afternoon commute home. This is putting many, many lives in jeopardy. It's very hard to see because of the tinted windows and the window being up on the driver's side. If this is a male or female driver, we've been assuming that it's a male driver, but we don't know that for a fact. We do know that it is a robbery suspect.
And we just had information, we're talking about the teamwork that's necessary to stop a person like this. Harris County is going to assist with the spike strips. We're wondering at what point they're going to set them up. The suspect, has gone over Eldridge. We've seen that right now, still westbound on I-10. So as they're coordinating between the two agencies and they're figuring out the direction in which the suspect is going, we're hoping that we'll see some action further west.
Right. If we saw a wider shot here, of course, the police typically try to do the spike strips under the bridges because of the shadow there. It gives them a little bit of concealment, so perhaps the driver may not see the officer standing on the road and trying to throw those strips in front of them at the last second. But when it's so busy like this, when there are so many cars on the freeway, it's a difficult thing to time because you only get the one shot to throw the thing out there. You don't want to disable vehicles that aren't a part of this. I mean, obviously they'll do what they have to do if they think they've got a shot at this vehicle to get those tires flattened and slow him down or hopefully bring him to a stop.
This driver still westbound on the Katy Freeway, approaching Highway 6. He's still in the regular lane of traffic, he or she, at this point. And still, again, going at a high rate of speed. And as you can see, that appears to be a Houston Police Department vehicle right on his tail. And we won't know the strategy until we see the place of just how they plan on stopping this person. As Sky Fox is giving us a wider view of this area. And as you mentioned, Don, traffic not as bad as it could be at this point of the day, which is a good thing at this point.
Yeah, they had opportunities, again, when he was on the side roads to do the pit or pick maneuver, depending on what you want to call it, which is where when you see an officer pull to the side of a vehicle and basically NASCAR style take out that right rear quarter panel and spin them around. They didn't choose to do that when there were ample opportunities to do so. Of course, we don't know the thinking, what their procedures and strategies are, but there were opportunities when they could have stopped him before getting on the freeway and chose not to. Obviously, there's always a hope that the driver sees that they're outnumbered, that they're not going to get away. You can't outrun radios, you can't outrun helicopters, and you've got dozens of police vehicles chasing you. But obviously, we've seen this many times. Drivers will take this until whatever end presents itself.
All right, and from what we're understanding from our news desk, and we're trying to get the best vantage point from what we can see here, that this driver, this suspect, is still in the HOV lane. That looked like an attempt right there for the spike strips. Didn't appear to work out right there. The good thing is that we can see that other vehicles, other cars are pulling over in advance of this suspect making their way eastbound, approaching Barker Cypress. They avoided those spikes, that attempt for the spike strips. We told you how Harris County Precinct 5, they were working with HPD to try to stop this suspect. Didn't work out that time. We saw that they were in place. He is in the HOV lane right now. I don't know if you could tell from these cameras, but you could see from the little diamond pattern there on the road that we know that he is in an HOV lane.
And certainly picking up speed again if you're to look at that traffic, which is usually moving at 60 to 65 miles an hour when it's that sparse. He seems to be doing well over 80 miles an hour at this point. We can't tell, of course, not being on the scene, but you can see how much it's thinned out.
So this is the Fry Road, Barker Cypress area, again, as we approach very popular and residential areas of the Katy. Okay, so we can see some action up there.
Oh, shit.
Like
they're going to stop his ass.
They have stopped traffic.
Further west.
Awesome. You're fucked now, buddy.
As the suspect makes his way to where we see these cars that have been stopped, let's see what law enforcement will do, what they have planned. Will they throw out the spike strips again? They stop traffic. You can't see it from this vantage point, but as we saw from the wide shot.
So now sometimes, truckers, when they're aware of these things, see he's using his vehicle to try to block that.
Good job, dude.
The trucker's going to try to pin him in.
Ha-ha! You're fucked now.
Stop him.
Okay, so he's choosing to go around safety wheeler. He's doing his part.
Awesome.
So they were staying on him and helped to slow him down. And again, traffic has to stop. Keep in mind, at this point, about half a mile ahead. So as you can see, the cars to the right of this suspect, they are stopping because police have gotten out there into lanes and stopped traffic so they could try to isolate this vehicle and bring this thing to an end.
And we don't know if they're going to block this access lane that he's running through. We would assume they would try to, in some way, or at least have the spike strips in it. But now he's to the end of it. And no.
Fucking A, no way. They let this dude go?
Way that is clear.
Okay, so it takes a lot of personnel, a lot of manpower to be able to do just what they did right there to stop the traffic. So he now has open space. The question is, what will happen now that he has...
Oh, you're fucked, dude. They're going to beat his ass.
Going westbound on I-10 right now, and we're wondering if officers are able to get ahead of the traffic.
Well, we can see one ahead of him, and we would presume that since they stopped the traffic, that they have officers that have been able to move out in increments along this freeway.
Because it is wide open right now.
And often when you see the officers allowing him to pass like that, it tells me that there may be another opportunity for spike strips, but now we're seeing regular traffic mixed in again here.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can't block the whole freeway indefinitely.
And because of the rate of speed, and we've seen this with other chases, what they do is they get to each individual exit, and they try to block the cars from coming onto the freeway, and then with the cars that are already on I-10, it takes a lot of effort to get them to a stop. And they appeared successful a couple miles back, but cars are still there. It takes a lot.
Yeah, and again, the reason we don't often see the pit maneuver
that was hauling ass.
Ditch effort is because of
here it comes.
Traffic, the possibility.
Oh my God.
Okay, it looks like he swerved to avoid some spike strips there as well.
This is the third attempt that we've seen, at least on this case on I-10.
Right, and that's the other thing. Those spike strips are only 20, 30 feet long. They cover about a lane to a lane and a half, and you can't put them across the whole road. Then you have to move them, of course, before the officers who are behind, flatten their tires as well.
And this wider view that we're getting right now from Sky Fox is really giving us a good indication of how traffic is not as heavy or as thick as it could be, but we could see
Man.
inside how drivers have been slowed down, and we're assuming that's because law enforcement officials have gotten to them and have
they're moving
blocked
off
their
of the
access.
freeway there as well. Now, we don't know about weapons that may have been involved in this. We know this was a robbery attempt earlier.
And we're still waiting on the information. We're hoping to get that on just where this robbery took place. I mean, this chase, which has been going on since 4:25, it started southbound of TC Jester at 20th and then kind of made its way around the Shepherd area northbound and maneuvered through some residential areas.
456.
And now moving
610,
through Katy.
I-10, yes, now in the Katy area, passing up Mason Road, approaching Highway 99, passing the Grand Parkway right now, which is Highway 99, still westbound on the Katy Freeway right now.
So again, we haven't seen any indication of weapons. We don't know if there was a gun used in the robbery attempt earlier. Haven't heard or been able to tell if there have been any shots or anything like that during this chase.
And we still don't have confirmation on just how many people are inside that SUV right now, maybe inside. And we don't want to assume that it's a man because we've seen cases where the car has been stopped and two ladies jumped out. So we are still waiting to confirm some of that information for you. But if you're just joining us right now, shortly before the official start of our 5 o'clock news, we have been following this police chase that is now in Katy. It's been going on since 4:25 p.m. This white SUV that you see right here, and this is a robbery suspect who's been on the run from police.
And if you're home and you have a loved one who you know is traveling this freeway at this time of day, it's not a bad idea to give them a call and say, hey, get off the freeway if this hasn't come your way yet, because, you know, in most cases, what we're seeing here, this is traveling past people uneventfully, but this driver has shown complete disregard, really, for the safety of other people on the road, and we have seen this driver hit other vehicles during this chase. No head-on impacts, no severe impacts, but clearly taking off mirrors and sideswiping cars. So you don't want to be out there right now if you can avoid it.
Again, this is westbound I-10 in Katy. This driver is not slowing down with this particular SUV. And as we can tell you, there is still a coordinated effort between the Houston Police Department and the Precinct 5 Constable's Office working together to try to slow this driver down and try to stop this robbery suspect who is now westbound approaching FM 1463 at this point. We can also tell you the DPS has a chopper in the air, which is very helpful at this point.
Certainly.
We have a great vantage point because we have our helicopter in the air.
Yeah, and they have some technology as well that helps them and helps the communication with the different law enforcement agencies involved. As you mentioned, this began with HPD and then Precinct 5 constables. We assume DPS troopers on the ground will be a part of this, again, as we mentioned, as it crosses jurisdictional boundary lines. And, you know, this is a person that they're not just going to let this person go. He has, or she has, caused a lot of damage and dangerous situations since being out there on the road.
And this is the closest
It is an armed robbery or a robbery suspect.
Yes, this is the closest view we've had, I think, of the driver's side window. There appears to only be one person in the front seat right now. There does not appear to be someone in the passenger seat. Don't know about who may or may not be in the back seat. But as we are just a few seconds away from 5 o'clock straight up, we want to welcome our viewers to Fox 26 News at 5 and let you know what you're seeing right here.
God damn it.
Breaking
The helicopter
news out of Katy this evening. You are watching a police chase that's been going on for about 35 minutes now. This is a robbery suspect that you're looking at in this older model white SUV, and they are now westbound on I-10 in the Katy area.
This started in the North Houston area. We picked this up initially, and the chase really started on side streets, and for the first 10 or 15 minutes, that's where it remained, and it looked at times like it may come to an end on the side streets. We saw this driver going through red lights, going across parking lots at some points to escape police cars or other traffic, and really sort of meandering around. But then once the driver hit the freeway, this thing really took off, and now we see the DPS.
On the ground.
We can presume they've probably taken the lead, the state troopers, on this chase now.